Welcome back to another edition of my channel, everyone. So, in today's video, I wanted to roll a clip of a Caucasian sister who talks about how it's a complete difference when it comes to, when it comes to the exact privilege that white people have compared to how us as black people have pretty much no privilege, and how racism is still a big factor today. Not only that, but how black people nationwide are being lynched. And I'm looking at it as her saying it not only from a literal perspective, but also a metaphorical perspective. With that being said, and on that note, let me go ahead and roll the clip. And this clip will be brought to you on behalf of TikTok. So bear with me as I begin to share my screen. And like always, I'm going to give my perspective on it while she's talking.
Black people are being lynched all around the country right now. They are being found hanging from trees in public spaces. They're also going missing. They're also being murdered in lots of other ways as well. And I can assure you there is no debate here, no debate whatsoever. Black people do not hang themselves from trees in public. That is not a debate. That is not the world we live in. Don't even try. Now, instead of giving high-level details about all of the people and all the situations, I recommend, honestly, just leave this video if you feel like it and go to Black creators that are talking about it. They're going to have way better insight on this situation than I am. However, there are things that I can talk about as a white human being on the internet. And that's the privilege that I have when I walk into a room or I enter a situation that Black people simply don't have. And I can use that privilege to support the Black community. And so can you. So if you look like me, let's have a conversation real quick.
And that's what I'm talking about. If you may be a Caucasian person, which is more so a technical term of being white, because let's face it, all white people aren't white as far as in appearance. But see, so many of them like to coin that phrase to feel that much more superior over minorities. Anyways, and I digress. If you may be a white person and you may happen to use your white privilege, so to speak, well, why not use it in a much more beneficial way instead of a more, I could say, demonic way, or a much more heinous way, which so many Caucasian people have been doing for so many centuries, so many decades, so many years. Even if you go way back to slavery days, how it may be certain Caucasian women who may sneak around when some of the Black American slaves, male slaves, if you know what I mean, and then after voluntarily doing it, were accused usually the Black American male slaves of rape. It's happened several times, and then as a result, and in a nutshell, the Black American male slaves would usually face a high chance of being lynched or beaten to death. This is how heinous of a mindset, how demonic of a mindset, ladies and gentlemen, so many Caucasian people until this day still have when they try to do all they can to punish us, to harass us, to do all they can to just get under our skin, so to speak.
Walk into an establishment, I am not immediately judged as somebody who is lesser than, who is going to steal, who is going to harm somebody, who is probably carrying a weapon. That doesn't typically happen, but that does happen with Black people. So I have that privilege of walking into somewhere and people not immediately seeing me as a threat. And when I see somebody assuming a Black person is a threat, I have the ability to physically put myself in that situation in between the two to either de-escalate it or to push that focus onto me. rather than them. This can happen in a situation where a police officer is involved and that police officer is kind of being weird, kind of looking at people weird. This can happen in a situation where there are microaggressions, where there's racism, where an establishment is just like, people are following Black people around the grocery store, whatever it is. There's lots of situations that pop up every single day. The second you walk outside, it'll probably happen. You have the ability to physically put yourself in that situation and to, again, either de-escalate or have the escalation moved towards you. The focus is now on you, the person who is probably not going to get harmed or go to jail or get shot dead because they decided to have a confrontation. That situation is a hard reality for Black people all around the country, all around the world. White supremacy is getting worse and worse. And what I mean by that, it's already existed. It's existed for forever. But the openness of white supremacy and racism is astronomically bad right now. And if you have any heart, if you are white and you have the ability to stand up for the Black community, you better fucking do it, because white supremacy is going to keep getting worse. And if it keeps getting normalized because nobody's saying anything or doing anything or redirecting things towards them where it's not a dangerous situation anymore, then Black people are going to keep being found fucking hanging from trees.
And on behalf of how she said something about Black people being racially profiled anytime they may go into a store and may get followed around, or just being racially profiled in general due to their race. The same thing applies to, you can say the same principle applies to if you may be a Black man who may happen to go through an affluent neighborhood, may happen to drive through an affluent neighborhood that's white dominated, and you may happen to be blasting music with a sound system and may happen to have tint on your car when some aftermarket custom wheels. A lot of us in my community, the Black community, refer to them as rims, but I like to refer to them more so as custom wheels. Anyway, you could, as soon as you may happen to drive through the neighborhood with your windows halfway down, and it may happen to be a white police officer in a neighborhood parked to the side, or it could be it could happen to be a white or Caucasian resident who may happen to be jogging, may happen to immediately call the police saying that you happen to fit the description of somebody that's on the run or may happen to just look suspicious. Whereas a Caucasian man who may happen to come through the same neighborhood in the same type of vehicle, blasting the same type of music, may get a pass, may get a slap on the wrist, or that same white resident or white police officer may just completely ignore them coming through the neighborhood blasting loud music. I'm telling you, it's a double standard all the way around when it comes to the privileges that so many Caucasian people feel like they could get away with it, as opposed to the privileges we are entitled to just due to our race alone. So many of us Black Americans. And it's just so messed up to the point where racism is still a big factor in the United States of America and always will be. Both racism, you can also say stereotypes and prejudice, although both stereotypes and prejudice fit into the very same exact category. Anyways, make sure to like the video, make sure to comment on the video, make sure to share the video, and last but not least, subscribe. Until next time, I'm out.